And good evening. Thanks for tuning in. I'm Sam Brock, in for Gadi Schwartz tonight, coming to you from Miami. Here are some of the stories that we're tracking right now. Violence again in a space meant for celebration. 9 teenagers are shot following a prom in Texas as the sheriff's office there says a second shooting nearby might be connected. In Miami, a new twist in what appears to be yet another shooting of someone mistakenly showing up at the wrong address, with a Florida prosecutor demanding an investigation after no initial arrests. 2 of the biggest names in cable news are no longer with their respective networks. So what's next for Tucker Carlson and Don Lemon? And polling problem. President Biden expected to announce his re-election campaign as early as tomorrow. We're finding out a large number of Americans don't want him to run again, even within his own party. Plus, Bed Bath & Beyond is seemingly beyond help. How did the home goods staple go bankrupt? And we'll introduce you to an artificial intelligence tool that is helping the blind see the world around them.
Do you feel like you have a bit of your independence back with it?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And we begin tonight here in Florida, where a prosecutor is ordering an investigation into that shooting west of Fort Lauderdale that thankfully ended without any bloodshed. But let's bring you up to speed on what happened. On April 15th, teenagers Diamond Darville and Waldys Thomas were delivering an Instacart order just before 10 o'clock at night. Now, according to police reports, they were on the phone with the customer looking for the house when they ended up on Antonio Cacavalli's property. That is when shots were fired.
I had seen him pull out a gun, and I said, that's why I was like, we gotta go, we gotta go.
Instead of just calling the police and have trespassers on my own, he decided to shoot.
Now, according to the police report, the teens say that Cacavalli shot at their car when they were backing up and accidentally ran over a boulder. Cacavalli says his 12-year-old son yelled for help when confronting the teens, and that ultimately they ran over his foot. That is when he says he fired at their tires. Investigators closed the case, saying that both parties were justified in their actions, so they're not going to be pressing any charges, which brings us to today, when a Florida prosecutor ordered a probe into the entire matter. Guad Venegas has been following the back and forth of the shooting, which, by the way, happened over a week ago. Guad, the prosecutor investigating here, did not even find out about the incident from police, right?
Sam, that's correct. You know, the state attorney's office now looking into this says they were notified by the media. So it was a news media reporter that contacted that office inquiring about what happened, and that's how they found out, and then they began looking into this. So there's, as you mentioned, different accounts of this incident, and that investigation that you mentioned was closed. I want to read part of that investigation result. Another line that said, this is what the investigator wrote. He said, based on my investigation, I was unable to determine if a criminal act was committed by either party. He also points out that there's no video surveillance, no cameras in the area to assist with this investigation. So things were sort of left there. Now, we're going to have to see what happens as the state attorney moves forward with this investigation, because, as you mentioned, the local police that responded to this initially over 10 days ago has not found that either side committed a crime. So it's going to be interesting to see what that investigation finds. I should say, Sam, that the neighbor that was waiting for that Instacart delivery was on the phone with the driver, and he also witnessed part of what happened. So he will be key when it comes to that next investigation, Sam.
Yeah, perhaps he can provide some insight into what happened. But bottom line here, Guad, 2 very different versions of what actually occurred. The teens said that they believe that race played into the shooting. Take a listen.
They shot from behind. It wasn't even front. They shot from behind. So it just made me feel like it was like a racist thing.
So, Guad, has either the police department or the state attorney in this case for Broward County commented on that accusation?
Sam, so we did receive the police report with a lot of details of the different accounts, both from the owner of that home that shot the firearm and the couple that was delivering the Instacart order. Now, we didn't have any details referring to that comment. What you played was an interview that they did with our local affiliate. And in fact, that was the first time we heard about it. We first heard them during that interview. Then we got that police report with more details. But we have not heard from the police or the state attorneys any references to that being the case. I want to read to you another part of the information that we received from the state attorney. Part of that statement, they did add that the senior prosecution team has contacted the Davie Police Department to request this full investigation. They say they're going to review the facts, circumstances, and evidence. That's all we've heard from that state attorney as they move forward with that investigation, Sam.
And as that goes on, Gwad, bigger picture now. There is definitely a sense across the country of just sheer confusion as to why this kind of thing keeps happening, because it's just the latest, right, in a string of unfortunate shootings where young adults and teens are being shot or shot at, going to the wrong address.
Sam, if you look at what's happened in the last few days, we've seen young people get shot at, one for going up to the wrong car. We had another incident of someone that pulled into the wrong driveway and got shot. Then, of course, another young person who knocked on the wrong door, rang the wrong doorbell, and also got shot. Now, this latest incident that we're talking about right now happened in Florida. And it's going to be interesting to see how the Florida laws play out because, as you know, Sam, in Florida, we have that stand your ground law that sometimes is used or is referred to when individuals want to justify why they use a gun on their property. That law states that a person who decides to use a weapon can sometimes do it because they believe they're being threatened. They believe that they have no duty to retreat and have the right to stand his or her ground and use deadly force if they reasonably believe that it is necessary to prevent imminent death or great bodily harm. Now, the investigators will have to look into that and see why the homeowner decided to use his gun, and also, as we mentioned already, see what the witness saw, what that neighbor saw when he was on the phone and was at a distance seeing this take place, Sam.
Yeah, and the perception of threat, of course, so subjective here. Gwad Venegas, thank you so much. And police right now are searching for a motive and several persons of interest in yet another shooting, this time in Jasper, Texas. 9 teenagers were shot at a prom after party inside of a private residence, according to local officials. About 250 people were reportedly at that party when the shooting occurred, and local police are urging anybody with information to please step forward.
We need help in solving this case. This was a huge party. There's lots of kids there. We need the kids to come forward that was there and tell us what they seen or what they heard.
All right, so police are perplexed. The 9 teenagers are still being treated, but their injuries are considered non-life-threatening, according to county officials. NBC News correspondent Priscilla Thompson joining us now. Priscilla, thanks for being here. And another town suddenly left with a whole lot of questions. Apparently, there was a second shooting, which might be connected to all of this. What are you hearing from law enforcement?
Yeah, so law enforcement is saying that shortly after that shooting at the prom night party, there was a second shooting that occurred, and that the vehicles that were involved in that shooting were also seen at the party that night. And so the sheriff's office says that they are currently interviewing, quote, persons of interest. And as you mentioned, they are urging anyone with information to come forward. They are specifically asking for anyone who has photo or video from the party that night to send that information into them as they work to piece together what exactly happened here. We do know that they're chasing a number of leads here, and they say that they expect to hold a press conference tomorrow where they will be able to share a couple of new developments in the case. Sam?
And Priscilla, we know hundreds of people were apparently at this party. So what have we heard, if anything, from witnesses so far?
Yeah, we're talking about some 250 people that were present when this gunfire erupted. And our affiliate spoke with one of the Jasper High School seniors, Madeline Collins, who was there. A number of her cousins were shot in this incident, and she recalled what she remembers happening and how she learned about what had happened to her cousin. Take a listen.
I seen the pop, like, you know how it, like, makes a light, it makes a bright light, and I seen it popped and I fell. Turned around, she was on the ground with a gunshot wound, and all I could hear was her screaming my name and saying, "Maddie, please help, help, help."
And such a traumatic end to a special night like prom. And I spoke to Madeline's mom earlier today, and she told me that her daughter is still traumatized by the entire ordeal. Sam?
Understandably, a special night like prom, also a Sweet 16 in Alabama that you were at only a week ago, where there was a shooting there in Dadeville, Alabama. So unfortunately, obviously, we've seen far too many of these shootings in the last few days involving young people. How has the school district so far responded to this one?
Yeah, Sam, so the school district did hold classes today. They had counselors on hand today, and the superintendent also released a statement saying, in light of this situation, we are working in conjunction with city, county, and state law enforcement agencies to provide a much greater presence this coming week at our campuses. We take the safety of our schools very seriously and will continue to be vigilant. But this violence comes as there is new polling showing how this is impacting young Americans. There's a poll out from Harvard University today that finds nearly half of young Americans have felt unsafe in the past month, and 40% worry that they'll become a victim of gun violence. And as you mentioned, this shooting happened exactly 1 week after that shooting in Dadeville, Alabama, at that Sweet 16 party where 4 people were killed and dozens more injured. In fact, that community is still laying some of those victims to rest today as this new round of violence has broken out here in Texas. Sam?
Yeah, just gut-wrenching to think another community now has to endure this kind of trauma from gun violence. Priscilla Thompson, thank you so much. All right, shifting gears now. It has been a day of seismic shifts in the media world. First, Fox News announcing that it was parting ways with its most popular primetime host, Tucker Carlson. Carlson's show regularly drawing 3 million viewers a night, but also garnering just as much controversy since it debuted back in 2016. Just minutes after the Fox bombshell, CNN's Don Lemon tweeted out that he was fired after 17 years with that company. Lemon also suggested that no one in management spoke to him directly about that decision, something that CNN denied in a tweet. Both departures coming without further explanation. NBC has reached out to all involved parties, and right now we are awaiting a response. And of course, this is all just one day after Jeff Shell, the CEO of our parent company, NBC Universal, announced that he was stepping down from his post after an investigation found that he had engaged in an inappropriate relationship with a colleague. A statement from the lawyer of CNBC anchor Hadley Gamble reads, quote, "The investigation into Mr. Shell arose from a complaint by my client of sexual harassment and sex discrimination. Given these circumstances, it is very disappointing that my client's name has been released and her privacy violated." Earlier today, we sought comment about Shell from both Comcast and NBC Universal on that statement from Hadley's lawyer. So far, we have not heard back. Joining us now to process all of these developments is Jeremy Barr. He is media reporter with The Washington Post. And Jeremy, thank you for joining us. Let's start with Tucker Carlson right now. He is a central player in all of this. Several of his text messages and emails were used as evidence in the Dominion lawsuit recently, and really a symbol of the alleged disconnect between what Fox personalities were saying on camera and what they were saying behind the scenes regarding the 2020 election. So the big question here, do we know if there's a connection between settling that lawsuit and Tucker's recent termination?
I think we're still working to find that out. There's definitely been a lot of ramifications from this lawsuit. As part of the lawsuit through the discovery process, thousands and thousands of private emails and texts were released, very, very candid assessments of Trump, but also of colleagues, of managers, things that really went wild within the organization. A lot of people were talking about it. It looked pretty bad, but certainly there was going to be no sort of programming decisions that were made while the case was underway. And with the case being settled last week, we've already seen 2 programming changes. We saw Dan Bongino, a pretty, strong pro-Trump host, had his contract not renewed. And then you had Tucker Carlson being fired today, which was very, very surprising. I didn't expect it at all. Certainly the text and email painted Carlson in a pretty bad light, but to then fire the most powerful and popular host in conservative media was still pretty surprising.
It's quite a statement. So, Jeremy, what does this say, if anything, about what Fox's strategy might be moving forward? A lot of folks thought maybe they were going to be doubling down in terms of how they shape their editorial. Perhaps could that change?
Rupert Murdoch and his son Lachlan Murdoch, who control the company, they're business people. They've always focused on what drives the numbers, what drives the audience, what drives advertiser money. That was part of the Dominion lawsuit. Dominion alleged that Fox was worried about losing viewers after the 2020 election, when a lot of Trump supporters were mad at Fox for calling the state of Arizona for Joe Biden correctly, that Fox doubled down allegedly on conspiracy theories and, was less restrictive in terms of allowing people to pose theories about Dominion rigging the election for Trump, which was not true, obviously. So with ratings driving decisions, I expect that Rupert Murdoch and Lachlan Murdoch and Suzanne Scott, who runs Fox News, decided that they could take the sort of short-term hit with this in terms of a potential Tucker viewer backlash. But ultimately, I think this is the right decision. Fox is a very corporate media company, and it makes us a big part of Fox Corp's earnings, but ultimately they're thinking about the long term. And Tucker was incredibly popular, but he also was somebody who was willing to bust management at times and had such a big influence, and he'd work around the company a bit. He was very powerful, and I think that there have been times in the past when Fox has acted to sort of curb the hosts have gotten a bit too big for their britches.
Okay, so you think Fox is likely playing the long game here. What about CNN, the other big news of the day, and that tweet? Don Lemon saying it is clear that there are some larger issues at play here. Lemon, of course, had been embroiled in a recent controversy, including remarks widely criticized as sexist. Any indication if that was the catalyst for this decision, or perhaps their new CEO, Chris Licht, just wanted to take the network in a different direction?
I think he's already taken the network in a different direction. I mean, he's only been in the job for about a year. Don Lemon was going to be the centerpiece of this new morning show. CNN really thought that they could get back into the morning show wars. They could compete with today's show, Good Morning America. And they launched this show with Lemon as the centerpiece, and then having Poppy Harlow and Caitlin Collins with a more conversational, casual, at the breakfast table kind of conversation. And the dynamic has not been successful. The rapport is not there. But most importantly, Don Lemon has kind of kept focus on his controversies. His comments about Nikki Haley and women not being in their prime in their 50s really detracted from the attention on the show. It really made the attention more negative. Sort of ostracized some female viewers. It's a pretty important demographic for morning shows as well. So I think this was about ending a kind of long string of controversies and sort of nipping a problematic situation in the bud. But it's still shocking because Don Lemon has been associated with CNN for a really long time. He's one of their most famous hosts, and to fire him sort of out of nowhere on a Monday morning was very surprising, even though that there were signs that he was kind of on thin ice there.
Yeah, they are both household names, Tucker and Don Lemon, no question about it. Jeremy Barr, thank you so much for your time. Speaking of some bumpy rides right now, on two different fires, on two separate flights this past week that have spooked passengers and sent the airline industry right now scrambling to try to calm down nerves. Now, while we know what caused one of those fires, it apparently happened after the plane struck a flock of geese. You see it right there, the flames. The exact cause of the other one is still under investigation. Tom Costello has more right now on what airlines are doing to ensure flight safety. Tom?
So these crews did everything right to get their planes back on the ground. You know, bird strikes are not unusual, but birds taking out an engine, that is very unusual. In fact, I can tell you that pilots train for this all the time, and it is not unusual. In fact, planes can fly on a single engine. In Columbus, Ohio on Sunday, some anxious minutes during takeoff.
We lost the number 2 engine on the bird strike with high vibration.
An engine on an American Airlines flight headed for Phoenix caught fire mere moments after taking off, apparently after striking a flock of Canada geese.
Everybody started panicking and freaking out.
Flight attendants prepared the cabin for an emergency landing. Marnie Kallistat took this video from her seat.
It was truly frightening. I didn't think I was going to make it.
Also on board, Charles and Felicia Meadows, just beginning their honeymoon trip.
We could just smell like burning.
The Boeing 737 safely returned to the Columbus airport. In a statement, American called the incident a mechanical issue. The FAA reports strikes against all types of wildlife are increasing in the U.S. More than 15,000 reported across 708 airports in 2021 alone.
Large bird populations are increasing, so the industry is constantly grappling with this.
Bird strikes became a top safety priority after 2009's Miracle on the Hudson, where Captain Sully Sullenberger expertly landed his plane on the river after losing both engines to a flock of geese. Everyone survived.
Experience can literally make the difference between success and failure, life and death.
Last Thursday, another possible engine fire, this one on the runway just before takeoff in Charlotte. Passengers safely deplaned back at the gate, and the exact cause is still under investigation. But aviation experts stress these two unrelated incidents should not worry travelers.
The majority of your commercial flights have 2 or more engines. And when you think of the relatively few failures, it's an amazingly safe system.
Airports have really upped their game trying to mitigate the bird threat. They use cannons regularly. They use netting. They also send out dogs to scare birds away, and they use radar, bird radar, to see where the flocks are moving so they can respond and be proactive. It is a constant threat, and one that, as we've seen, can pose a serious risk to a plane. Back to you.
All right, Tom, thank you so much. Still ahead this hour, evacuations in Sudan as the situation in that country spirals into chaos. U.S. Special Forces were able to get embassy staff safely out of the country over the weekend. But what about the estimated 16,000 American citizens still trapped there? The latest on rescues and a possible ceasefire, so stay tuned. All right now we aim to take you around the world in just 80 seconds. And we begin tonight with an announcement from Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, who says he's going to be meeting with Florida Governor Ron DeSantis during an upcoming trip to Israel. Last week, DeSantis announcing a big international trip advertised as a, quote, trade mission with stops in Japan, the UK, and Israel. And it comes as DeSantis is rumored to be weighing a presidential run. Authorities in Kenya have exhumed dozens of bodies so far in what's believed to be part of a starvation cult. Its leader was arrested last month. Officials say at least 39 bodies were discovered on his property over the weekend, but the total number dead is reportedly around 70. And a sunken World War II ship has been found off the coast of the Philippines. The Japanese ship once carried more than 1,000 Allied prisoners of war. A team of explorers there found the ship at a depth of just over 13,000 feet. And to give you some perspective, the Titanic was found at more than 12,000 feet underwater. And sticking with international news, the State Department says that rival military groups in Sudan have agreed to a 72-hour ceasefire. But it's also the third, at least, ceasefire to be announced since fighting broke out there earlier this month. So far, none of them have actually held up. Now, this latest one comes on the heels of the U.S. evacuating nearly 100 people from its embassy in Sudan's capital of Khartoum over the weekend. The evacuation was carried out by U.S. Special Forces and ordered directly by President Biden. So far, about 80 people have been evacuated from the American embassy to neighboring Djibouti. Still, there are thousands of Americans, many of them dual citizens, who remain in Sudan at this hour. Secretary of State Antony Blinken spoke about the situation earlier today.
A decision to suspend operations at the embassy, remove our personnel from their assigned posts, is among the most difficult that any secretary has to make. But my first priority is the safety of our people, and I determined that the deteriorating security conditions in Khartoum posed an unacceptable risk to keeping our team there at this time.
All right, NBC's Courtney Kube, who covers national security and the Pentagon, joining us now. Courtney, thanks so much for being here. Let's start with the ceasefire. How did it come together? How likely is it to actually last for the full 3 days?
So there's some hopeful optimism that maybe this one will last. But as you mentioned, Sam, there have been a number of these already just in the short time since this violence began in Khartoum. And unfortunately, none of them have lasted. As one American I spoke with in Khartoum over the weekend told me, it's a 72-hour ceasefire that didn't last 72 minutes. So the one over the weekend was supposed to be to allow Muslims to celebrate the end of Ramadan, and it simply didn't last. U.S. officials who I spoke with about the one announced today, Secretary of State Antony Blinken came out and spoke about, again, are hopeful, but already there are some spot reports about how there's some sounds of gunfire in Khartoum. The reality is it's going to take the next few hours to see if this one will actually hold and hopefully allow for more evacuations if there's a cessation in the violence.
So tempered expectations, certainly. And as we hear about the 16,000 dual citizens who are there, Courtney, what is the Biden administration saying about those Americans who are still trapped in Sudan? And for those trying to leave, what are the kinds of dangers that they're encountering right now?
It's extremely dangerous. So over the weekend, the State Department was warning Americans not to even go out of wherever they were sheltering in place, not to get into any kind of convoys. Well, that's changed a little bit today. So today, for the first time, we saw U.S. military drones that were overhead as a United Nations convoy that included a handful of American citizens drove from Khartoum to Port Sudan, which is there on the Red Sea, for evacuation. Now, U.S. military officials say the hope is they will be able to escort convoys like this more and more in the coming days. And a number of countries have actually reached out to the U.S. asking for help getting some of their diplomats out. We may see the military used in the same way, so escorting convoys along these dangerous roads. The problem is it's still an extremely dangerous and perilous expedition or journey for them to go on because the fighting is just so unpredictable. So we have these situations where both sides say they'll stop fighting, but then we see in a matter of hours, and frankly, even in some cases in minutes, the fighting continues. There have been reports of lootings. There have been reports of vehicles being stolen. So the reality is there is an effort underway to keep helping people evacuate out of the capital city, but it's extremely dangerous, Sam.
Right. As you've articulated so well, so much fragility with the situation right now. So knowing that, Courtney, Secretary Blinken also said today the State Department was actually looking at resuming a diplomatic presence there, possibly in the port of Sudan. You wonder immediately how that could be safe, and what do we know about it?
So, Port Sudan on the Red Sea is where some of these evacuations evacuees are going to get out of Sudan. Now, already the U.S. military, for that possibility of some sort of a continued diplomatic presence then which would move east to Port Sudan, the military has already brought a U.S. destroyer there. It's the USS Truxtun. It's there as a security presence. They're also moving another ship, what's essentially like a landing ship, a place where if the U.S. were to decide to evacuate a number of Americans, they could go there, and then the destroyer would provide the security. It could also just be a security presence if there were to be some sort of a diplomatic presence there in Port Sudan, Sam.
Well, Courtney Kube on a deepening crisis in Sudan. Courtney, thank you so much.
Thanks.
All right, coming up, some consumer news that, yes, may hurt those who are nostalgic about Bed Bath & Beyond. Now it's kind of Bed Bath & bankrupt. You might have to dig up all the coupons that you've been saving before the store shut down. But first, you got to see this. It is a sky gazer's dream. Millions across the country look at those colors. We're able to witness a rare display of the northern lights. More than a dozen states reported sightings of that dazzling display. If you missed it, don't worry. Residents in a few northern states have another chance to get a glimpse tonight. Your window may not have closed. And welcome back. Let's get you caught up in 30 seconds. In Florida, a prosecutor here is ordering an investigation into a man who shot at Instacart workers who simply went to the wrong address. In Sudan, U.S. Embassy staff were safely evacuated over the weekend out of the country. Nearly 100 people. A 72-hour ceasefire starts tomorrow. And some big media shakeups today. Tucker Carlson is out of a job at Fox News, and Don Lemon has been fired from CNN. All right, get your coupons ready. It is officially an end to an era. Mega retailer Bed Bath & Beyond just filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy yesterday. This coming after a year of job cuts, store closures, and speculation on just how long this chain could last. With another retail giant closing shop, it begs the question, what does the future now hold for brick-and-mortar stores in general? Joining us now is NBC News business and data reporter Brian Chung. Brian, let's start with the basics here. Is there any insight into why Bed Bath & Beyond is shutting down?
Yes, and well, for what it's worth, I feel like we've heard similar kind of headlines before that Bed Bath & Beyond was in trouble, but they were able to kind of hobble along by essentially issuing stock and making it work. But over the weekend, just yesterday, we heard that they will officially be filing for Chapter 11 bankruptcy. That means essentially they're throwing in the towel, and the liquidation process begins for their 360 or so locations across the country. This iconic brand that we all remember and associate with maybe taking a kid to college or having a wedding registry will be no longer effective just a few weeks from now. The liquidation process is going to begin as soon as Wednesday. That's the period in time when they're expected to begin some of these pretty harsh discounts to get items off of the shelves. And it's also the day, by the way, when those iconic 20% off mail-in coupons will no longer be honored again because the discounting is expected to be so deep on that Wednesday. But again, an iconic brand, Sam, that's no longer essentially.
No, and you smile. Same thing for me. Almost every major move I've made in my life has somehow involved a trip to Bed Bath & Beyond. And a lot of people no doubt feel that way. And Brian, it's not just this one store. It's not just a standalone store. They have a website. The parent company owns Bye Bye Baby. So what happens to all of these other businesses that are connected to it?
Yeah, so Bye Bye Baby has about 120 locations, and it's actually one of the more successful businesses as part of Bed Bath & Beyond, but it's the same story for them. They will be closing as well and trying to liquidate. Now, it's important to remember that what is involved in this bankruptcy process is also an auction of the brands that includes Bye Bye Baby and also Bed Bath & Beyond. So in theory, it's possible that another buyer could come in, buy the intellectual property to those names, and try to resurrect it at some point down the line. You'll recall something kind of similar happened with Toys R Us when a firm came in, bought Toys R Us, bought the iconic Jeffrey the Giraffe, and tried to resurrect it in a pop-up format inside of some Macy's stores. But essentially, it will not exist in the current network that we know it as, with the stores in many of our suburbs and areas where we grew up.
Yeah, that's a great point, right? There could be a paradigm shift right now in the business model, whether it's Toys R Us or Blockbuster. Is this sort of a canary in the coal mine, right? What does this say about the health of once dominant brick and mortar chains?
Yeah, well, I mean, you think about this being the latest in a number of other bankruptcies. When we think about Sears, we think about David's Bridal just recently. We also think about the likes of JCPenney and J. Crew, although they've been able to continue to operate their stores. But broadly speaking, this is just all about e-commerce, right? People no longer need to drive to the store to pick up a bath mat. You could just order on Amazon, and in 2 days it shows up right on your doorstep. And even for those that are in a pinch, you're not necessarily going to Bed Bath & Beyond. You're going to a one-stop shop, big box retailer like a Target, like a Walmart, so that you can get that bath mat, but then, oh, wait, also get some groceries at the same time. So this is really just kind of changing the way that we're all essentially going out and buying things at brick and mortar stores. It doesn't mean brick and mortar stores are dead, but it does mean that these more specialized retailers simply don't have that operating business model that they used to succeed in 10, 15 years ago, Sam.
Yeah, no doubt. Convenience is king, and unfortunately, this is closing the chapter of an American classic.
Pour one out.
We are all saddened by that. No doubt. Brian Chung, thank you so much. All right, let's move over to politics now. Could be a momentous next 24 hours as President Biden might announce his re-election bid as soon as tomorrow. But new NBC News polling shows he could have an uphill battle to stay in the White House. An overwhelming majority of people say he should not run again for president. That's 70% of all those polled. The reason why? Mostly because of his age. Biden would be 82 by the time he began a second term. Just over half of Americans disapprove of the job he's doing right now. 41% actually approve of his time as commander-in-chief. Now, on the other side of this, when it comes to Donald Trump, Republican voters overwhelmingly favor the former president. NBC News correspondent Vaughn Hilliard is in Staten Island, New York, talking to potential voters.
Hey, Sam, this is the reality that this NBC national polling is showing, one that the general electorate around the country is looking to move beyond Donald Trump and Joe Biden. When you look at it, 70% of Americans say they don't want Joe Biden to run again, and 60% of Americans say they don't want Donald Trump to run again. But when you separate the two into their respective parties, you're looking at Joe Biden as the clear front runner, should he announce, as expected this week, as well as Donald Trump for the Republicans with a sizable advantage over Ron DeSantis and other Republicans. And 70% of Republicans say that they are standing by and defend Donald Trump after his arrest and amid these other investigations into him. This is a tough reality here, though we should note there are potential vulnerabilities, namely age, for Joe Biden and Donald Trump. Take a listen to the few of the folks we talked to here.
Well, I'm a registered Republican.
Who would you like, Donald Trump or?
Ron DeSantis.
Ron DeSantis.
Yeah.
Why not Trump?
I don't know. I'm tired of him.
Tired of him?
Yeah, you know, it's enough already. I don't want to curse. Sorry. I voted for him last time, but he lost.
This time you want DeSantis?
Yeah, I want a younger guy.
You're a registered Democrat, so unlikely to vote for Trump.
I'm not sure because I don't like Biden's age.
That would make you more likely to vote for Donald Trump if you were facing him?
Maybe.
Joe Biden's looking to announce his re-election this week.
Of course, right, yes. We're all informed, right?
Him or Donald Trump?
Oh, I wouldn't vote for an old man. He's too old, no.
Joe Biden is too old?
Yes.
What about Trump?
What about him?
Would you vote for Donald Trump?
Yes. Yes, I would, now that I think about it.
So this is the question. To what extent does age become a real vulnerability for Joe Biden and Donald Trump? Or is it more so in their party's primaries? Or if in the case that another Democrat, perhaps a younger Democrat, were to try to take Joe Biden on, or are both of these men going to have a 2020 rematch? And then at that point, are we looking at Joe Biden versus Donald Trump general election conversation? That is what is going to be determined here in the months ahead as these primaries are debated. Sam?
And Jets fans everywhere are rejoicing. The day has finally come. The Green Bay Packers are, in fact, trading quarterback Aaron Rodgers to the New York Jets. The Packers GM says the two sides are still kind of working out the specific details, but the trade should be completed very soon. Talks of this trade have been circling since March, when Rodgers first expressed his interest in playing for the Jets while appearing on the Pat McAfee show. Rodgers, of course, a four-time NFL Most Valuable Player, and he has been with Green Bay for, get this, 18 years. Joining me now is the Jets writer for The Athletic, Zach Rosenblatt. Zach, for those Jets fans who were just waiting, like myself, to hear this deal finally consummated and now feeling some sense of hope, should they? What does this mean for the Jets? What does this mean for the AFC?
I mean, Jets fans have been looking for hope for a very long time. You know, they haven't had a lot of stability at quarterback. And, whether you can argue whether Aaron Rodgers brings stability at quarterback, since it could be a one-year thing. But, ultimately they're bringing him in with the idea that they want to win the Super Bowl. They want to go and win the whole thing. And they believe Aaron Rodgers can bring them there. And they were willing to trade whatever they had to trade to go and get a guy like that. And whether it works out, and, I don't think we can judge this trade until a year from now, when we see what the Jets did, if they made the playoffs, if they made a run in the playoffs, and if Rodgers played the whole season.
Well, it's interesting that you say they would be willing to do what they have to do, because there was a lot of speculation the Jets did not want to give up their first-round draft pick in order to bring Rodgers to New York. So what was the holdup in this deal?
Yeah, I do think that the Jets were resistant to giving up their first-round pick next year was the biggest thing, and so they put some protections on it. I think they wanted to get some protections in case Rodgers does only play 1 year. I don't think the Packers were willing to meet them at those expectations. And, you saw the NFL draft coming up on Thursday. I think that a deadline spurs action, and that's kind of what happened here. The Jets decided they were tired of waiting. They found a trade that they felt was even for both sides, and they did it. And now they can go forward with their offseason and go forward with their plans, and they can start building this roster around Aaron Rodgers.
Even for non-sports fans, Aaron Rodgers is pretty close to a household name, much like his predecessor Brett Favre was. Is there an interesting parallel here that both of these players, after long, storied careers in Green Bay, where they only won one ring, end up playing for the New York Jets at the tail end of their career?
I mean, it goes even beyond that. Aaron Rodgers is 39. Brett Favre was 39 when he was traded here. Aaron Rodgers is going to be replaced by Jordan Love, who's 25. Aaron Rodgers was 24 when he replaced Brett Favre. Like, the parallels are pretty wild. I think they hope it works out a little better than the Brett Favre thing did. That season started off really well. They started 8-3. Then Brett Favre got hurt, and they missed the playoffs, and the entire coaching staff was fired. If they don't make the playoffs this year, the entire coaching staff is going to get fired again. So there's a lot of pressure on Aaron Rodgers, a lot of pressure on this coaching staff, the general manager, and the Jets as an organization. They're all in right now, and there's a risk that you don't get it right if you go all in on 1 year.
And it's been more than 50 years since the Jets have won a Super Bowl. So for so many fans out there, fingers crossed that this all in on Aaron Rodgers actually works out. Zach Rosenblatt, thank you so much for that insight. And after what feels like a relentless string of storms, we're checking in on some more severe weather tonight. Central and southeastern Florida are right now seeing heavy rains that are expected to continue into tomorrow. All of this, of course, coming down in parts of the state that have been struck hard recently by historic levels of rain. This was Fort Lauderdale almost 2 weeks ago. The community there still reeling from that deluge, 2 feet of rain in 7 hours. That was, in fact, unprecedented. Governor Ron DeSantis asking the White House over the weekend for a major disaster declaration. If granted, it would launch federal assistance programs throughout that battered community. Right now, NBC meteorologist Bill Cairns joining us. Bill, obviously, we've been seeing this heavy cycle of rain in South Florida the last couple of weeks. Fort Lauderdale was just badly flooded. What are you seeing right now on your radar?
The storms are moving, and that's the key. What happened to Fort Lauderdale was the storm sat there, and it just kept pouring. And this is different because these storms are actually moving, and that's how you avoid the major flash flooding. Doesn't mean we're not going to still see some possibilities of lightning damage, maybe some small hail. We've already had a couple of reports of quarter-size hail. And it's a large area that these storms are encompassing, from all the way from Orlando down to just about Miami. So that's the Florida Turnpike, that's I-95, all the populated areas here on I-95. The storms, for the most part, are starting in the middle of the state and kind of drifting towards the coast. This is Lake Okeechobee right here, and this is the strongest storm by far, with a lot of lightning near that on the northern side of the lake. We've had a couple storms around Fort Pierce. West Palm Beach is here, and there's Fort Lauderdale, Miami. Thankfully for those areas, a lot of the storms have been to the north. Doesn't mean they won't get hit a little later this evening, but as of now, it's all clear. So we'll watch these storms slowly drifting. The Orlando area, scattered strong storms, but we haven't had any severe reports there either. So we're not going to see what we saw in Fort Lauderdale, and that's good. By the time once we get about maybe 10, 11 p.m., these storms should weaken significantly.
All right, sigh of relief there. And certainly we don't need more water here in Florida, but there are other parts of the country right now, Bill, that are starved for it. Some of the worst drought conditions in the country are in the plains. They are finally seeing some rain, but is that going to be enough?
Yeah, things really flipped. We went from the drought in the west to now talking about the drought in the middle of the country. As the west got soaked, it's been very dry. So the worst drought conditions are Nebraska, areas of Kansas, Oklahoma, and areas of West Texas. This is areas that desperately need the rain. Think all the farmers, this is planting season. They want moist, rich soil for those seeds. It gets expensive to put all the water down in irrigation, and a lot of the wells and a lot of the ponds dry up when it's been this dry too. I mean, we're in extreme to exceptional. That's the highest drought categories for a good chunk of Kansas. But this is what we were waiting for. This could be the biggest rainstorm over the next 3 days that areas of Oklahoma and Kansas have seen in nearly a year. So everyone's just praying and they're happy, and we just need this to come true. Already light rain has moved into areas of Wichita, Oklahoma City, but the storm is going to be slow moving. And here's the rainfall forecast. So when we look up here, that's 2 inches, that's 3 inches, and that's right over the top of Oklahoma, southern half of Kansas, almost exactly where the worst of the drought is. So if this happens over the next couple of days, this is perfect timing for the planting season and for any early crops that were already planted in the middle of the country. So the timing tomorrow, yes, we will get some isolated severe weather out of this. This will not be a tornado outbreak. We don't expect anything horrible, but big hail is possible with some of these storms, especially in Texas tomorrow. And then notice how slow this storm is. This is all the way out through Wednesday, just periods of rain in the areas that we need it. Yes, it's going to ruin out a lot of the afternoon sports and the outdoor spring sports and events, but they need it in the middle of the country. By Thursday, we take it out of the middle of the country and bring it to the southeast. So here's the severe risk for tomorrow. Really, Dallas, Fort Worth, southwards to Austin. Large hail is the biggest threat. And then we're going to do it again as we go into Wednesday. Pretty much the same areas. Dallas this time heading over towards Shreveport. And again, the timing of this will be late afternoon into the late evening hours. So, we're going to get what we need. We want to avoid severe weather and any, damage. But, you need rain. And they're about to get it.
It is a small price to pay, and yes, it feels like Texas and Florida. This has just been continuous, Bill, and you have been a very busy man following it all. Thank you so much. Thanks. Up next, it is the future of everything. We've talked a lot about the scary sides of AI, but we're about to show you a pretty inspiring twist in this technology that's helping the visually impaired enjoy new experiences.
Do you feel like you have a bit of your independence back with it?
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's very empowering.
And here are some of the other headlines that we're watching tonight. Kim Potter, the Minnesota police officer who killed Dante Wright back in 2021, is now out of prison. Potter mistook her gun for a taser during a traffic stop. She will serve the rest of her 2-year sentence on supervised release. In Georgia, the Fulton County District Attorney says that her office is going to be announcing charging decisions into that election interference probe as early as mid-July. The grand jury has been investigating former President Trump and his allies for their possible roles in the interference. In Oklahoma, one person was killed after a shooting today at Rose State College. The suspect is now in custody, and investigators are calling it an isolated incident. President Biden discussed gun reform with the Tennessee Three at the White House today. Representatives Justin Jones, Justin Pearson, and Gloria Johnson. Of course, they are the 3 Democratic state legislators who faced expulsion over gun control protests at the Tennessee state capitol. And Len Goodman, longtime judge on Dancing with the Stars, has died after a battle with bone cancer. He was head judge on Dancing with the Stars for 15 years until his retirement in November. Goodman was 78 years old. There has been much discussion lately about both the promise and the peril of artificial intelligence. For some, the technology is already transforming lives. NBC's Allison Barber has the full story.
It's weird when the dog knows more people than you.
New York comedian Brian Fischler lost his vision nearly 15 years ago due to a progressive retinal disease.
Good boy.
Wesley, his guide dog, helps him navigate the world around him.
Where is the shampoo?
But now another helper, right at Brian's fingertips.
The shampoo is located on the bottom shelf towards the left side of the picture.
Brian is one of about 100 people beta testing the new AI-infused Be My Eyes.
Do you feel like you have a bit of your independence back with it?
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's very empowering.
Since 2015, Be My Eyes has connected blind or low vision users with sighted volunteers who, through video calls, verbally describe what the user is facing.
I don't mind asking for sighted help, but it drives me absolutely bonkers.
Now, he may not need to. The new AI tool in Be My Eyes is powered through GPT-4. Like in exchange with an actual person, Brian can take a picture with his phone and follow up with a question.
What's in my refrigerator?
Within seconds, he gets an answer from the virtual assistant, which Brian has programmed to speak at a rapid pace. We slowed the audio down for clarity.
I can see that there are several items in your refrigerator, such as a carton of milk, almond milk, soda cans, a water filter pitcher, hummus, and various packaged foods.
So what makes it different for you versus having a sighted volunteer?
Privacy. You know, a sighted volunteer, there are certain things you don't necessarily want them to help you with.
I hope we can launch this into the world in a couple of months, but we're going to make sure that it's working really well and that it's safe and effective.
Mike Buckley is the CEO of Be My Eyes.
Why change something that's working? Why replace people with robots? What do you say to that?
Because it's what our community wants. There are some people who may not want to call a person. I talked to a woman who said, I didn't want to call a volunteer today because my kitchen was messy.
Be My Eyes human volunteers will remain just a click away, and the virtual assistant, just like the app currently, will be free to individuals who use it. For Brian, the AI is now key to everything from picking out clothes to finding building numbers.
Please wait. Virtual volunteer is writing a message.
To deciphering a menu.
Jalapeno poppers, $8.95. Served with Cajun ranch. Chicken dumplings, $8.95. Served with a teriyaki dipping sauce.
What is this?
As one of more than 250 million people in the world with vision impairment, Brian says the tool he's testing is simply
life-altering. You know, having this kind of information in the palm of my hand, it's just going to change so many things.
Ellison Barber, NBC News, Queens, New York.
Time now for some of the stories to watch out for tomorrow. We are keeping a close eye on President Biden and awaiting his official announcement to run for re-election. At least those are the rumors at this point in 2024. Also, there's an arraignment tomorrow for the man who has been arrested and charged with the murder of tech executive Bob Lee. And Wimbledon officials could announce if the Russian players who were banned based on the invasion of Ukraine will be able to compete in this year's tournament, which begins July the 3rd. That will do it for tonight here in Miami. I'm Sam Brock, in for Gadi Schwartz. He'll be back tomorrow, but until then, stay tuned.
Thanks for watching our YouTube channel. Follow today's top stories and breaking news by downloading the NBC News app.